One of the key elements to this is, as you know, we have an executed MOU with Harlequin Energy for the offtake because we want to sell the gas at the wellhead. But as part of that process, we decided to undertake a scoping study. So we've appointed an independent consultant, a specialist in this.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Georgina Energy CEO, Anthony Hamilton. Tony, very good to speak with you again. You're up with an operational update, and you say it's a busy period for Georgina as you prepare for drilling at your Hussar Helium project in December. Tell us what's going on.
Hi, Stephen. Yes, thanks. Well, since our last announcement, which I think was at the end of August, we have been extremely busy. In fact, we've had multiple work streams under operation. We had the meeting in Alice Springs for EPA 155. And obviously the focus for us is the drilling permit for Hussar, which remains on target for commencement in December. So the old saying is, of course, there's not much point saying something if there's nothing to say. So materially, we've got a lot going on, which we've focused on, hence today's RNS.
Tony, you had what looks like a successful meeting with the CLC and traditional landowners last month. Given the investment you're committing to, you must be reasonably confident you'll get their approval to proceed.
The fact that we have commenced reprocessing the seismic for EPA 155 would indicate a high degree of confidence on our part. We are required to receive a formal written notice from the CLC, and obviously we are waiting for that. But the fact that we are proceeding in the manner that we are would indicate that we have a very strong positive aspect towards that outcome.
Tony, you also say in the announcement that you completed evaluation of additional re-entry targets, and that will shape the Hussar and Mount Winter work programs. Can you take us through that?
So at some time ago, post Hussar and Mount Winter, we decided that we needed to look at other targets. And as I originally said, we whittled it down from close to 200 to 126 down to 10. Those 10 are now down to a number, a fairly small number, and we have reached out to various prospective partners to determine whether there's an interest. And obviously from our perspective, this is forward-looking in terms of on the completion of Hussar and Mount Winter, then we have other targets which fit the criteria for re-entry, which is our model.
In the meantime, you've also appointed an independent consultant to conduct a scoping study. So take us through what's planned there.
Yeah, one of the key elements to this is, as you know, we have an executed MOU with Harlequin Energy for the offtake because we want to sell the gas at the wellhead. But as part of that process, we decided to undertake a scoping study. So we've appointed an independent consultant, a specialist in this. And essentially what the scoping study will do is it will provide a capital and operating cost estimate. It'll also do a sensitivity analysis based on the different price levels for the proposed gas separation purification plant, which will be owned and operated by the off-taker. And so we're doing that so that we have an absolute understanding of the financial model that we'll be dealing with when it comes to the off-take price and how we set everything.
As you said, it's been a busy period for the company and a busy couple of months lying ahead, including a site inspection, which is planned for November. Take us through the next steps as you progress towards December drilling.
Okay, so one of the key elements that everybody needs to remember is we have a land access agreement in place with the traditional landowners. It's set in stone. One of the key elements of that is you have a certain amount of criteria which you're required to undertake. And one of them is that we seek land council clearance from the traditional owners under the land access agreement. And the reason we do that is simply it's good manners. We need to advise them what we're doing, and they can't unreasonably withhold approval for what we're doing under the land access agreement. So it's not an impediment. It's basically a good arrangement whereby we have a great relationship with the traditional owners. And so we, all the way through the process, we involve them in what we're doing. And so we've sought land council clearance approval. At the same time, we are completing a site inspection in November. And myself and the technical director will be on site. And again, the traditional owners will be involved. We'll be addressing heritage issues. And more importantly, it'll be part of the process that includes an environmental survey, and that is a prerequisite to the granting of our drilling permit from DEMAS. So, yeah, we're looking, I think, about mid-November to be on site at Hussar. And at the same time, obviously, we will be doing some preparatory work on the wellhead at the same time in preparation for our December commencement of operations.
Well, Tony, I hope you'll keep us posted on any progress as you make it. Thank you very much for the update today.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's Georgina Energy CEO Anthony Hamilton.